everybody, and welcome back to the Indie Film Cafe Spotlight. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm your old pal, the Moo Cow, aka Paul Presenza. How's it going, everybody?
And we've got an awesome special guest here. Lauren Parkinson's here. How you doing, Lauren?
Woohoo! I'm good. How
Yay!
are you guys? Glad to be
Good.
here.
We are so excited to have you. We watched all you watch all your movies all the time. So
Oh,
to have you on here is just a treat.
I'm
Yeah.
super pleased. I when Jonathan said that we were going to get you on the show, I was like, woohoo! Yay!
Well,
wow.
we had reviewed for Indie Film Cafe. It's not out yet. It's not going to be out for a couple months, but we had reviewed Dances with Werewolves. And I was like, "Oh, I'm friends with Lauren. Let me see if I can get her on the show and we can talk about that and other stuff that you're doing." But yeah, that was one of the ones we reviewed, you
Right,
know.
and I've
Cool.
seen at least three or four more, so
Uh, There's been
Wow.
more. Yeah.
we
So,
are fans. We are definitely fanboys.
Aw. Well,
so
that's very flattering. Thank you so much.
So definitely take us through how did this become like a career for you?
I never really gave myself anything else. I mean, we were mentioning before we got on that if you have any questions about any sciences or anything like that, I love that. But I didn't focus a fallback position. So I don't know. I got my degree in theater performance. Um, my original plan was to kind of try to start out in Broadway. But I ended up trying out New York a little bit, and surprisingly, it wasn't my speed. So I visited some friends out here in LA and fell in love, and some friends showed me the ropes because it's definitely, as you may know, something that you need to work your way into as slowly as you need to. It's a lot about meeting people and making connections. So yeah, I don't know if I can live completely without it, but that's why I'm here.
That's interesting. So you had more of a theater background, and you start off in New York with Broadway, which is obviously a lot more theater oriented, but doing acting for movies, especially because I noticed you've done multiple characters in some of these films. That's quite a jump. How were you able to handle acting theater wise versus acting for movies or TV?
Well, I do love acting really big. And by the way, I didn't actually do the Broadway because it wasn't my speed. I did theater in kind of regionally. I did it in Kentucky, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Cincinnati. And then when I came out here also, my transition was probably kind of in college where I had a. Do you hear my phone dinging, by the way? Do I
Nope,
need to put that on silent? Okay,
no,
cool.
you're good.
Um, I forgot to do that part. But my transition was in college because I have a really amazing professor who kind of used to direct for like Days of Our Lives and As the World Turns, things like that in New York. So I definitely have to put this on silent. People are blowing me up. What's going on? All right, sorry
Everybody's
about
trying
that.
to get you on their project, probably.
Oh, actually, I saw the name. It was the second movie that I have coming up. But anyway, going back to what were we talking about? Oh, the transition. So I love acting really big. Like theater is such a dream because it's so therapeutic in the sense that you get to really cleanse yourself of everything that's inside. Um, so the transition for film, where you actually are supposed to keep a lot in. Um, let's see, the first agent manager I was trying to get with when I was out here, his comment to me was way too theatrical. And I said, thank you. I'm a theater major, you know? But so I had to find like a middle ground. And why not B movies? I just had so much fun with they let you have so much control over like your own part. I mean, when it comes to even like costume and makeup and hair and everything. Sometimes you even get to add lines or subtract lines or, just really get into it. And there are varying degrees of what I've done as far as the range from theater to film and the style of acting from huge to small. But I most enjoy film because of the it is so different. And because you get to keep it afterwards, as
Mhm.
theater you don't.
Mhm.
Um,
Unless somebody video records you, during
right,
the
right,
during the
right. But then
play.
it's so different.
Yeah.
Right.
I
It's like each performance you do on a theater on a given night is could be very different from one that you do. So if you're on a run, say a 6 week run, you could be
right,
giving 6 weeks worth of different, subtly different performances. But
which
yeah,
I also love.
yeah, but I do understand because it seems to me that because you are acting on stage in front of everybody and everybody has to see you, that's why you have to go big, I would think. Whereas when you're on the small screen or whether you're on even on theater or movie theater, you can be more subtle. You can do stuff with like your face. You can do stuff with other parts of your body that nobody else can see when you're up on stage. And so that kind of gives you more tools to play with. Am I kind of close with that?
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
Um, Trying to not be dehydrated. I was playing with my kid all day.
It's okay. So another thing with like film, like the difference, in my opinion, difference between theater and film is that film you get like you get as many takes to get it right, but like when you're in theater, you have to get it like you have to nail it,
Mhm.
or you have to somehow fix it where you where you can still mess up but not look like you messed up,
Just
that kind of
ignore
thing.
it and keep going.
Yeah, there's that. And there's also just, depend on stage, it's like you never know for sure what the other people are gonna do. So you always have to be ready. In film, there is that the fallback of you might have more than one take, but I gotta tell you, with low budget, there's not always another take. So in a way, it kind of takes a bit of like improv and mixes it with theater because you have that like it has to be
Hmm.
good right away. So it's kind of scary but exciting at the same time. And there is the editing room, and there's a lot of power in that. Like I got to help. There was a period of time where I was helping with editing, and it's a pretty magical process. Gotta tell you. So there's that. And like angles and the cuts and the overall like artistic um like collaboration when there's just so many pieces involved instead of just the actor. Like I am definitely stuck here in the film world, just enjoying myself because going back to theater is again that whole like you were saying, it's 6 weeks of shows, but then the rehearsal process
Hmm.
in LA. We knock on wood, man, we had some really great directors that were able to bust out some productions because of LA style actors of because you do the films and stuff and you have to do it really fast. So they could get you to do a production in under a month, easy. And then there's one company that I work with, and we would put Shakespeare productions together in 1 week.
Oh wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's pretty
So
amazing.
yeah, well, we would have to all come in completely memorized, and he had the like
Ugh.
rehearsals like all day, like scheduled in his head about what time, who had to be here for what scene. And yeah, everybody was really, really good at it. But I do like the fast stuff because then you don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I do like it a little bit of a safety net. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Right. Yeah, and Paul went up because he hates memorizing lines.
I
That's like his.
I I don't have a capacity for that. So when I talk to somebody who's obviously a professional and obviously can do that, and not only do that, but to do that with the kind of language that, say, a Shakespeare deals with, which is basically poetry. It's not just drama. You're reciting poetry, oodles of it, and you're acting on top of that. I mean, I tip my cap. There's just, I have so much admiration for folks who can do that. It's just amazing.
Well, maybe you haven't tried it enough. My sister was just telling me the other day that I should start classes on it because Shakespeare is, like you were saying, like poetry. It's more like a song, and it's a little bit easier to memorize than, some of the colloquialisms. The trucker movie, I like to look at a script and then take it away and think of it in my head in my own way and then come back to it and then try to memorize it. But it's so funny, like the way you paraphrase, the way you paraphrase and kind of make up your own things, and then you come back and you're like, completely different. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. I mean, I see what you're saying. I just never thought about it that way. I mean, I guess, I had fun watching Bigfoot or Bust, but I guess you didn't have to worry about iambic pentameter when you were doing your lines.
We actually had about a half hour where Jim said, "This is what the scene is going to be about. If this is like beginning, middle, end. Now go." And we just made it up.
That's
And
great.
then he'd say, "No, I don't like that part. Make it do it again, but do it better." And so we just added on, added on, added on, and tried our best to remember exactly what he wanted. But really, we were just kind of winging it a bit. And yeah, it it turned out pretty cute, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that I could do. I love improv. I have no
Yeah.
problem with improv, but if I have to memorize things, that's all I do is worry about how I'm going to blow the line, and I blow the line.
Aw.
So are
Well,
you?
I was
Oh,
gonna
go.
say being good at improv is a lot harder, so good
Mm.
job.
So are you like a union actor or a non-union actor?
Well, I am SAG eligible, but I have been SAG eligible for, should I say how long?
Well,
Pretty
I
much ever
mean,
since I've
do they
moved out
come
to
after
LA.
you? Do they come after you about that? Are they like, hey, you need to be, now you're eligible for like so long, you got to be SAG now. You know,
No, they don't do that,
that's good.
thankfully. Um, I have some sort of relationship with money that won't let me spend the $3,800 it takes to join the union because I have had friend after friend have their insurance benefits taken away. Um,
Mm.
just all the dues that they have to pay. It, it is a great idea. The idea of a union is awesome, but the way that it's actually run, I can't really get behind. And anybody who does, more power to them. I love that. I think it's um like I really respect a lot of my friends that are all for it and try to push me. And they want better for me, right? If I do join, say the almost $4,000, then I can't do the work that I am doing.
Right.
And I'm having a lot of fun and I'm getting to work a lot. Um, I have some very talented friends that, yeah, they're just not able to work because there are so many people in the union paying in for those 1%. And yeah, they just get lost in the cracks. And I feel really bad I wish I could help them, but then they're also trying to help me. So I don't know who's who's in the right or
I
what. What do you
mean,
guys think?
I get it. I mean, to have those kind of dues on top of already living in one of the most expensive places in the country, and if you're not even getting a steady paycheck, if it's like on a TV series, I could understand it. But if you're not, if you're just still going from, one movie to the next, there's
Mhm.
no guarantees. I don't know how anybody could do that.
Mm-mm.
So that's,
Right.
again, my hat's off to you guys. It's a very, very rough life, and we're thankful that you're able to continue to work, and even if it's B movies, we happen to love B
Yeah.
movies. So
We made a whole
Yeah.
podcast over that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
and and that's an interesting thing that you brought up because like yeah, you have to pay like almost $4,000 just to join. Then you have to pay like it's not monthly, it's like a yearly fee or whatever, I think, so I don't think it's like monthly, but you have to pay a yearly fee just to keep going, and everything. And on top of that, you're not like you said, you're not guaranteed work. So on top of that, you're auditioning and you're busting your butt and you might not get a part or whatever for like months and months. And then when you finally do, you're not gonna get like George Clooney paid, like 'cause somebody
Mhm.
like George Clooney or Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, they can pay the 3,000 a year or whatever, and not have a problem, because they're
Mhm.
going to constantly get work. But like just regular actors were out there busting their ass, that's why a lot of people, from what I understand, they work in the restaurant business and then they quit after a while and they get regular jobs because they need to pay a living, for
Right.
out there. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of
And
sucks.
you definitely have the talent to do it. I mean, like I
Mm.
said, I've seen you in a number of movies. And when it comes to this movie like Bigfoot or Bust, I mean, Moody, you can back me up on this. I said your performance was the star of that particular show. That's all I could remember from that film was how good you were. And I kept saying, why is not her character the lead? Her character should be the lead in this film.
Well, Jim asked me to be a lead. The entire film was unscripted. And so when he was selling me on the idea of, so it's a bunch of hot girls walking around in the woods looking for Bigfoot. Well, I mean, I was like, I love you, Jim, but I need a little more to go on.
Yeah.
I was like, this sounds like exploitation. What are you going to have me wear? I mean, it's great because it's fun, but it's missing something. But so we're working on it. So
Mhm.
I was like, all right, if you give me a small juicy part, I'll be there. I was like, I got my kid. I can't, just go off in the woods for forever to make up a story. And anyway, he's a really good writer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him to do another kid movie. I don't know if you guys saw Doggone Christmas.
Mm-mm.
I
But
think I saw it years ago.
I bought that. That was one of the ones I bought for my ex roommate Lenore because
oh,
she
cute.
loves dogs.
Uh,
So she
So
poor
has
Jesse.
it.
yeah, so she has it. But I may have misspoke because I wasn't referring to Bigfoot or Bust in that particular thing. I was referring to Dances with Werewolves. I thought your character should have been the lead. Your character was stronger, in my
Oh,
opinion, and I just think the movie would have been better. And I thought you gave the best performance in that
oh, wow.
particular film.
Thank you. Well, Dan Golden did say, there's these two leads. He did originally want me for, like you were saying, for the lead, but
Mhm.
Don Glut wanted or how do you say it? Aquila.
Right, right.
She's amazing. I thought she was, I mean, out of this world, amazing. Um, I was definitely blown away. Um, uh, Dan was saying like, it might have been harder for her to get the emotional like the deeper part of the role down or as quickly. Um, but yeah, she was wow. But thank you. Yeah, so that was like a director producer thing. And they did say that it was Dan that said like the part of Lydia he liked the best anyway, because the way she was the one the that was like more the stable, whereas the other one is the one that comes in that to break up the family kind of thing.
Yeah. And we're like when we were watching it, we were like really into it because like the your character was so sweet, throughout the whole thing. And then even when like this sort of like you said, she breaks up the home and all of this stuff happens, your character is still freaking sweet. Like your character
Mhm.
would have normally wanted to like, like literally just killed that girl, but you just, your character was just so sweet about it and everything, even though not like, pushover sweet, but you still have that a little bit of that attitude, which I
She
liked.
was the beating heart of that film. She
I
really
know.
was. And Moody will, I mean, I don't know if you'll get to see the review. I hope you do, but you're going to hear me saying things like, why isn't this guy listening to his wife? She's right about everything. She's fantastic. Why is he? And then we find out later at the very last scene what's going on with that. But it drove me crazy throughout the whole movie. And I'm like, how could you not be paying attention to her?
You guys are the best. Some of my best fans I've heard say things like this. So thank you, and you're
Yay.
awesome. You
Yeah.
read into it very properly, and that makes me proud.
There was a setup for like a possible sequel, I'm guessing. Like, I mean, I think every B movie does that now, just in case,
Sure. Why
it's
not?
like, so they have to set up where there's like a cliffhanger where there's like, oh, okay, but like that cliffhanger, we're not going to ruin it because people gotta go watch the movie if they wanna see it. But that ending was like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
Mhm.
We were just like,
Right?
we liked it, but we were like, what?
I
Like,
agree.
yeah, it was fun. We enjoyed it a lot.
I
Uh,
I also liked your performance in Hollywood Pussy Trap Kill Kill. Can you
oh,
talk a little bit about that character a bit? Because that was interesting. The cat, I think your character was.
Kat Sloan, yeah. She was the rhythm guitarist for the band, right? That's the
Hmm.
name of the band, right? Hollywood Post Drag right?
Right. I think
It's
so.
been a little while. Let's see. Mm, I always get stuck in my mind about what was going on in my life at that time. But okay, about the character. Wow. She was badass. I enjoyed her very much.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. She's the I keep a knife in my boot. Not gonna mess with anybody kind of tough girl that oh, yeah. I don't know if I could be in real life because it's that Saw type of situation that she gets put in, and man, there are some tough times.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this because they're kind of the two roles that really struck me. And it's like, on the one hand, you've got this really tough as nails, gritty person that you probably wouldn't want to mess with. On the other hand, you had this other sweet person that just was like tying this whole movie together and you couldn't help but rooting for it. I'm like, wow, this person is really showing some range in her acting abilities. And I love to be able to see that. It's pretty marvelous.
Thank you.
Well,
Um,
oh, okay. Let's
I was
continue.
gonna go back to as you guys were mentioning the Dances with Werewolves and like all these great characters. Dan Golden actually reached out to me I would say last year when I was like, because I'm just starting to build myself back up after, raising my child. And so he reached out to me saying he's directing Lifetime movies and he
Huh,
wants me to, he's like, I want you to come do some of these with me. How cool is that?
that's
But
awesome.
Yeah.
at the same time, I said, let me get my actor legs back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it's a tough world out there, and to put so many layers on, oof, you know.
They do a lot of my when I was out in LA, my former roommate, who's my best friend, her like somebody she worked with at one point was now production manager or whatever production coordinator for some Lifetime movies and
Wow.
apparently there's like a ton of production companies that do it, like not just like one. Yeah, I always thought it was just one, like or whatever, it was just Lifetime, but and so I got to be in like I was four of them and before I moved back to but I wasn't like I wasn't I didn't even have any lines. I was a extra in all of them,
Awesome.
but that was, I mean, to me, getting paid just to go up there and sit down or I got to be in a scene apparently with Shannon Doherty and I didn't even know she was in this, like, because it was so big of a group of people. I didn't even see her. And then later I watched the movie and I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. So it was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, but aside from anyway,
I did extra work like 14 times when I moved out to LA.
really,
I loved
Nice.
it. Yes, I would totally do it again.
well, I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, you know.
It's fun though. You get to meet people, and that's part of it, you know.
Exactly. It's networking, you know.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, I did want to mention like so Paul loved these certain movies, and I have a feeling he hasn't watched the Asylum Avenger Grimm movies and everything, but
Mhm.
I was talking to you earlier about them and how much I absolutely love those because I love Marvel and like those were like the fairy tale Marvel type stuff. So I was just like, oh man, I wish I had come up with this. And now the Asylum did it and everything
Oh,
and so I loved you you were Snow White if I'm correct.
hmm.
Yeah, so how was that?
Chance of a lifetime. I mean, it's hilarious that that wasn't the first Snow White audition that I'd had that year, but yeah. Uh I'm not sure if again because Jim was telling me for Cobra Gator I was a fill-in, but for Avengers Grimm I went to this audition that was obviously all no, it was Snow White and Little Red Riding Hood
Oh,
because they had me read for both parts. And I saw people looking like Snow White and people looking like Little Red Riding Hood, and I tried to go somewhere in between. And yeah, Dietzman was his
Little Red
name.
Snow White.
So yeah, I got to go read for both parts, and it was like, oh, I was at the top of my game because I could look at a script and put it down and I just had it in my head. As you get more practiced, you could do that, like boom, boom. And I did that with both of the parts and went in and didn't need my script. I was being very sassy and set it aside and just took over the room. And yeah, I felt very cool because again, yes, I mean, I think we're all the same age. The Disney movies when we were younger were our lives, you know? I was like, there was nothing else. So, right? I felt like that.
I'm a little different than most people.
yeah, he didn't
Yeah,
grow up on the Disney and he's a little older, I think. So he feels like, that was a different thing. Like for me, growing up like with the Little Mermaid and
right. Yeah.
Aladdin and
And The
all
Lion
that
King
and the
and
Lion
same.
King and all that. Yeah.
We're the
I was
same.
more of a Three Stooges kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
But
Love
The
them too.
Disney's Three Stooges, that needed to be a
one of the
thing.
things I did want to ask you, I haven't seen the movie Scumbag yet, but you were in that film, and there are a number of people in there that you got to work with that I just think are amazing for one reason or another. And I wanted to ask if you got to how you got along with them. People like Nick Zed, who we've talked on our show a number of times on several of his movies. You got to be on the same movie with him, and people like gosh, Keith Morris and Kid Congo Powers. They're all big famous musicians. I mean, what was that experience like?
It was, kind of like going to the Oscars, I guess, right? It's like
Yeah.
all these amazing people around filling the room. I didn't get to work directly with them, but going to the screening was just, yeah, like, whoa.
No, that.
Super cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, Mars Roberge and the 100 amazing people that he got together. I saw him do an interview. He said for my part, Portia, he auditioned 1,500, like
Wow.
1,500 girls alone for my part.
Wow.
And yeah, he was like, said that I was the only one who came with it, which is cool.
There you go. I mean, if
Uh,
that's not telling you something right there, I don't know what would.
You should put that on your resume.
Seriously.
it was fun
Quote,
stuff to read, you know. I like when people give me juicy little scenes and I get to do what I think, and then, you know, it just wows them in the moment, you know, because I know where the camera is. I know, you know, I hear some directors hide cameras these days, but you know, isn't you,
wait,
you
what?
gotta work it. And
They
I
hide cameras?
uh-huh,
Well,
because they know actors are, it's again one of those things to evoke like a
Yeah, they
authenticity
don't want
and
you performing, quote unquote.
right, right. When
Well,
I was a theater
I'm,
performance major. But anyway, again, it's Portia was a bigger character. I mean, so yeah,
see,
and all the characters were huge.
I think that's the sort of thing that you're going to get more from a B movie kind of situation or a micro budget kind of situation where they don't have a lot of time and they have a very tight budget and they have to get stuff done. You're working 12-hour days. And like you've alluded to previously, you don't have a lot of takes. You just have to keep going and going and going. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, if you've got plenty of time and plenty of money, and you've got, somebody like, say, a Stanley Kubrick around, he's going to make you take 85 to 100 takes until he gets exactly what he wants out of you. You're not gonna have that luxury most of the time in the B world, which is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, I would think, very, very different. Have you been on one of the higher budgeted kind of films in your experience so far?
Hmm. I want to say, Avengers Grimm was the probably the highest budget that I've done and the one that allowed the most takes, which was great because like I was saying, I feel like I was a fill-in somehow. It was Little Red Riding Hood and myself who the day before that was it. They did tell me that, I remember, because it was supposed to be all of the girls, you know, like Mylin and they were all in like a girl group. So it was supposed to be their girl group like in its entirety, but then a couple of them, I don't know, bailed out. So that they brought a couple of us in the day before, literally got our scripts and went to set the next day. So when we're
that's
shooting
asylum for
for,
you.
yeah, but I mean, the next day I was like on every page of this 90-page script or something like that. It was amazing, but to have to do that many scenes every single day and that many lines.
Hmm.
So I was grateful that they had multiple takes.
Right.
So that, yeah, that was the biggest punch that I've done
Well,
because of the ability to take more takes.
were you able to actually ask to do other takes? For example, if you did a scene and you didn't think that you did it as well as you could you say, "Can we do another take?"
Dude, Jeremy Inman wrote and directed that, but he's seriously like one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. Yes, it was almost anything I wanted. Super like actors, director. Um, you know, he would come beforehand and be like, "You want to rehearse this? Do you want me to read this with you?" And then at the end, did you like that? Do you want to do it again?
That's great.
So sweet. The best.
Well, and I sort of had a similar thing with the asylum when I did Collision Earth. I think I told you about it before. through a message. But you know, when I worked on that, I got called in the day of and asked like, "Hey, 3 hours from now, do you want to come out and right?" So I thought, "Oh, I'm just being an extra, like in the background, This is like my first little project. I'm okay with that." And then I walk in and they said, "Oh, here's your, you need to go to costume." So I went to costume, and the first thing the costume lady did was give me my I guess my soldier suit with a little name tag. I go, "Oh, that's nice. I have a little name tag." They're like, "You also have lines." And I go,
Woo!
"What?"
Is this the
And
Eric Roberts one?
yeah, the Eric
Yeah,
Roberts one.
yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, all right." So I got really excited and I looked at the lines and there were a lot of lines that I was supposed to
Woo-hoo.
memorize in like 5 minutes, or
Mhm.
whatever. And so I was like, kind of told them like I'm not an actor. Like I'm a director, producer, whatever. I do the acting for fun, but like I was expecting something else. And so they cut down my lines. So I had basically 2 lines and then the rest they gave to the writer and he was acting in it anyway, so he got to say all the lines he already knew and already wrote down and everything. And I was almost thinking they were gonna cut my whole like line out and everything, and I was gonna be fine with that. It was like, whatever, but they didn't. And so I still had stuff with Eric Roberts. But I can't do like you. I could not, there was a lot of military jargon and stuff that I just didn't know what the hell they were saying, and so I get that. Like, if you're able to do that, that is an amazing talent.
That's a skill. That is a
Mhm.
real skill.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
love
I feel like I
hearing that.
should teach classes on it. You should
I mean,
come.
yeah, like,
I'd
well,
go.
I
Oh,
well, nowadays you can do classes through Zoom too. So like
Mm.
it's we live in an amazing world where like you can do Zoom auditions, you can do Zoom, or you can just send in video auditions, and then you can also do like Zoom classes and whatnot and teach people from home. Such a weird world we live in
you
now.
guys know my buddy Rich, right?
I think you introduced me to him
Did
recently.
I? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He helps me out so much because I do not have a business mind. And so he wants to get me way up top because when I met him, he said he wanted to be an actor. And so over the past year, we've been helping him and he comes over and I help, or we just do the Zoom thing and help him with scenes. And sometimes it could go for hours and hours, but
Oh,
it, it,
that's
it feels
awesome.
like a little master class every time. I do love it. I do love the teaching
I
part.
would love to take part in that. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Get
That's
on
well,
Actors Access. Call me. I'll help you.
yeah. Well, she also needs to move out to California then.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they
Uh,
they do have productions all over the place.
it's
If you type
true.
in your city,
Yeah.
Well, again, as I bring up to most folks that don't quite know, you guys do this professionally for a living. This is just a fun hobby for me. So I have other things that I do.
I bet you do. But you could do both.
That's what Mr. Moody thinks. I don't know. I try. I don't have much time. I have a house. I have a garden. I have all this other stuff I deal with
Isn't
too.
it the best? I know it does take up like all my time. Gardening is like my second job
I
over
love it.
here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I don't even have a kid. You have a child, so
Mhm.
I imagine that sucks up most of your time too. Has that altered the way that you approach either acting or auditioning or just going for parts in general?
In thinking about legacy and, what my child is going to see, what he's going to think, yes. And I think it's helped because I just had such oh my God, I'm having so much fun. Yes, I'll take that. Sure, I'll do that. And now I was at least able to, when reading a script and there were things that seemed unnecessarily sexual or, you know, degrading to women or et cetera, I would, politely say, "Mm, I'm curious if there's another part that I might be able to audition for." And then surprisingly, people say, why, yes, here, try this one. And so, in that sense, yes, I've been able to steer my career a little more in a direction that's comfortable for me as a mom.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, and Paul's brought this up before to other guests, but there's now like a lot more, even in the indie world, weirdly enough, there's a lot more safety and everything, concerns and stuff. There like the safety coordinator or something on a set
Yes.
and things like that. Have you had
Intimacy
that?
person.
Have I ever had that personally myself? It would probably be me, as no, they can't afford that in the movies that I've done. There's never been an intimacy coordinator. Yes, I've always done my own stunts except the sequel to Avengers Grimm is the Avengers Grimm Time Wars. And I was 4 months pregnant with my son. And they had a stunt double for me. I still did as much as I could, and it was a lot because I was talking with some of the stunt coordinators that I work with, some people that I've trained under for we're going years back, who've also worked while pregnant. And there are things you can do up to a certain number of months. And so yes, for the Avengers Grimm, that pair of movies, it was safe. They had safety coordinators. There was one day that do you remember when I flew over the camera?
Mm.
Yes. That was me because they were very stressed. And whenever I sense the stress of the people around me, the directors, producers, and they said, oh, we need to get this shot, but the coordinator isn't here yet. And oof, how are we going to do this? We could skip it. And I was like, no, wait, what do you need me to do? And I have my experience. So yeah, I did too much. And I could have waited that particular day. But yes, all the other movies, all um my own kind of thing.
That's that's
So
interesting that,
yeah.
did the coordinator get mad when like they got to set and they heard that you already did a stunt without them being there?
Because of the paperwork that I have to sign in the sense that you basically sign your life away, no.
No.
And because I had a pretty extensive training background, I mean, I worked at the Renaissance Festival back in Pennsylvania.
Yay, the
Um,
Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. That's awesome.
right? And we used to throw ourselves off of buildings all the time. So that kind of thing wasn't a big deal. It's like the whole running, leaping, like people in LA are like, oh no, wait. And I understand why. Like, wait for a trained professional. Wait, you're putting your whole, self in harm's way. But yes, I appreciate the trained professionals, but I did undergo a lot of training for a long time. And it was right at a time where I was working with SFI, Sword Fights Incorporated, and they were based out of like the Brewery District in downtown, and now they're out of Burbank. But Brian Danner, super awesome. They used to teach us all kinds of things that we needed for, especially like we had to do a lot of the sword fighting and stuff, you know.
Nice.
So stuff
Beautiful.
like that. I feel like I got it, but it can always be dangerous. So I look forward to them having more coordinators on the set if possible.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get that. Like, but I mean, you don't want to potentially have to go to the hospital,
right.
or whatever, because that would ruin they'd have to shut down the film or at least film around you while that's happening. So you that's why those are there just to protect the actors and everything. And that's another thing that like is the thing with SAG. That would be a SAG thing of like, no, you can't do that because you're not insured with us to do that, or whatever,
Mhm.
But as the non-union, you can do whatever the hell you feel like, and everything.
Yeah,
That's why in a lot of non-union jobs, I mean, people are wearing multiple hats because they have to.
I
Hmm.
do like wearing multiple hats. As I get older, though, you know how it's not as easy to wear as many hats. Um, so yeah, I definitely look forward to giving the hats around and wearing only one or two or three. You know what I
Well,
mean?
let me ask you this, since you've been doing mostly performance and very, very excellent job of, by the way, have you any interest in doing other things like directing or writing, producing?
Originally was giving myself only 10 years in LA, and then I was going to move back somewhere in the Midwest and be like a theater director or do, the independent film and be my own kind of thing. But I definitely fell in love with the acting side, and because I'm not so much of a business mind, and I am just all passion. There's the Spock and the Kirk, and I'm all heart. So
Oh,
I definitely appreciate having directors and producers to, you know, lift me up. And I enjoy the collaboration. I would like to dabble a little more, and I do have some friends who are encouraging me because I do have some really good ideas, and I whenever I work with some open directors, I know where not to step on toes, but I do stick my 2 cents in a lot. And a lot of time they really appreciate it. And, sometimes they'll say, all right, listen to the director.
well, that's good. I mean, I've never directed a film, even though I've been wanting to, but I've been a photographer for a long time. And I've always told my models, this isn't me utilizing you as a piece of furniture. This is supposed to be a collaborative process. So if you have ideas about how something should be better, or something you want to try, or something that you think that we can improve upon, please let me know, because we're trying to work to get the best image possible. So I would think that I would hope that most directors would be more open to that sort of thing from the folks that they're working with. I hope anyway.
I love that. I do have like a big coach in me too. Like if other actors are having a hard time like getting there, I
Hmm.
know what buttons to press. There are different things you could do physically to get to an emotional state. You know, I'm not gonna, sit and ask you about your parents, but you know what I mean? It's there are tricks to getting the picture and to getting the sound. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Interesting.
you know,
So
I like that. I love that you're a coach as well, or at least in a way you help
yeah,
other actors out while you're on set because that is an amazing thing for people to do, even if they're not getting paid for it, or whatever. They're just helping people out.
Especially if you're newbies or people wannabes like myself, it's like having a security blanket there. And when you have somebody there who knows what they're doing and can help you, that's nothing but pluses there.
yay.
So,
I don't want to call people out, otherwise I have some adorable examples, but go on.
oh, I was just gonna ask something that like I've been like thinking about, and I kind of asked somebody else this before, but this is as an actor, once you're acting, like you're literally in the moment or whatever, do you ever feel like you're actually there, like doing it?
That's blacking out, or in my experience is kind of what you call it. Um, so yeah, kind of if you have no recollection, if the director afterwards says, "How do you feel?" and you're just like, I don't know. And like you blacked out. So then in that sense, uh there are two different kinds of blackouts. There's the you're a very new actor, you're not breathing. Um okay. Uh there's that kind of blackout where you just forget everything. And then there's the you were in it kind of moment thing. And yeah, it's happened. And you feel like this other person, of course. Yeah.
And you don't remember it though? Like when like you see it on the screen and you're like, I did that? Like I don't you know, like
That's
is that how
interesting.
you feel?
No, not when you see it on the screen, you remember every
You
I
remember
feel like you
every
remember every little moment, but that's the screen remembering it for you. But after doing the acting and doing the scene, then it's yes, I was them for a moment. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. I have another. We do multiple shows for Indie Film Cafe, and one of the ones that I do is called Forgotten Horror Classics. And I just did one called Possum. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but the performance by the lead, whose name is Sean Harris, is absolutely fantastic. And I saw the little featurette, and the director was saying the man showed up in character, stayed in character the entire production, and pretty much went home in character. And it was an extremely intense character that he had, but he was, method. Is
Mhm.
that kind of the approach that you have, or is that a little too much for you?
It again depends on how big the character is, how far away they are from your own natural person. Definitely, a little bit of that is done, and it depends on where you are in the day, where you are in the scene. But most of my career, I've been able to be something else and then boom, go back to myself. Yeah.
So you can turn it on and off at will.
Turn on and off. Yeah.
Because I know there are some folks, they literally get lost in the roles, and it takes them a while to sort of decompress and come out of that character, and it actually affects them. So even to the point where it affects them with their regular relationships, and which I find very, very troubling. I can't imagine having that.
It's the on and off that is so taxing, and that if you don't have to turn it on and off and you can stay in it, then it's kind of it takes less calories. You know what I mean? It takes less energy, it takes less from you because every time you give yourself to a part, you're you're giving like some of your soul. And then I myself go back to myself, or I do it for the people around me, which is strange. And I feel like if I stay in it, they're gonna think I'm weird. They're gonna, I would probably love to stay in it, but I don't want them to be concerned for me. I don't,
there
but
was
it is
that
taxing.
there was that like the whole documentary. I don't know if you saw it on like I think it was on Netflix or one of them, but like it was Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman in
Oh
Man
yeah.
on the Moon, and he actually was Andy like the whole time when he was on it and
Hmm.
when he was off of it, and it drove people crazy because
Hmm.
people did not. And the whole documentary showed his the way he was and how he was acting to everybody. And some people believe that like Andy possessed him or whatever, but no, he was just being a method actor, and he was channeling what Andy would do, and
Hmm.
that's wonderful.
Hmm.
But he wasn't, there was no like possession. It was just a fun little part. And
Hmm.
so I always tell people who are just getting acting, definitely check out like documentaries like that. And
Hmm.
I think it's called Jim and Andy. It's a wonderful documentary about, method acting, which I'm not like I definitely would never be a method actor because I just could not do that. Like it's just not me,
Interesting.
you know?
I think I could if I could freaking memorize lines. I think I would be totally into it because I kind of agree with Lauren with regards to your performance is you giving pieces of yourself that are going to go away. So I would think that in order for me to get in that position, I would have to throw myself completely into it. It's
Hmm.
just, you give me more than four lines and I'm like, oh, I can't remember anything.
Well, like I was saying, when I used to work at the Renaissance Festival, it's like you get on the Shire and you're in character, and you don't need to break character because you're on the Shire all day long, like every day. And because you're in character and you don't have to break it, it makes it easier.
Hmm.
That's I think that's what method acting is all about, is so that when you're on set and they're asking you to do a particular task, that you don't even have to think about it. You're just going as someone else would, right? The magical if I was them, right?
Right. And that's great. I mean, are you a Meisner, actor, or do you not have
I
a
have
specific?
I have the actor's toolbox, and I have a little bit of everybody. I do love Meisner. Uh, I like the physical stuff from Eisner. Um, and I love launching. I love and I love Stanislavski too. Um, yeah, but you take a little bit of everybody and you mix it all together, and you've got your own magical way of doing things
I
and
love
sharing.
I love their
How are
books.
you with regards to things like interacting with your environment or interacting with a prop, even if it's not part of the scene? Do you do that? Do you just, as part of your character, will you pick up an object and mess with it, or will you interact with like the background or something like that to help you sort of flesh out your character?
Yes, I definitely have, and like certain things that come to mind when I was doing my appetites role of Daisy and sitting at the bar as but because I got to be her for so long, for so many days in a row, for um uh it was like, yes, I would definitely come in as they're setting up, even when I wasn't called. And that's what I like about indie film, is like I could come on set and I could be my own stand-in in a way and play with the things as my character would, just to feel as and touch and move and be in the space as they would. And yeah, definitely the whole endowing things and seeing it in through different eyes and stuff like that is fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you ever miss a character once it's gone? Like once you're done?
Well, they're kind of bottled in a little time capsule, which is great. But personally, um, I definitely feel like I have a little bit of each of them in me in some kind of schizophrenic way, but but not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we are so, multidimensional in ourselves. I mean, do you, I mean, you guys have each seen like four of my movies. Do you see some of the characters in me at any moment sometimes, or no?
I do.
I
I think.
do.
Yeah.
It,
Cool.
yeah, because like, and each character is different. You don't me, you don't play the same person like every single time you know what I mean? Like I'm not like, oh man, that's Lauren being that other character that she already was. It's, you are absolutely someone brand new, and I think that is the sign of a really good actor because, somebody who
You
can
definitely
play
bring
that.
a depth to the roles that I have seen so far. I may not have seen everything yet, although I'm going to, but you definitely stand out in just about everything that I've seen. And yeah, consistency and depth, that's what I would have to chime in with.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I've really enjoyed doing different um, things with my character. Um, Definitely looking forward to tapping into more authenticity and different looks. I've been keeping my look similar, just, you know, plain, right? And I could do different little things with my hair, as you were saying, Kat Sloan, because the other girls, there were two other girls that had long dark hair. And so they're like, oh, just put her in some buns on top of her head. And for the Agent Sharp, I gave those I twisted things and twisted and put the bun. And so there's different things that I could do with my hair, but you know, I'm not a guy. So I love looking at guys and they could change they change their face. And it's so cool. But looking forward to the trucker movie that I'm gonna be shooting in a week
Ooh.
from today. And I play Trucker's wife, Caroline, a mom. And so she has a baby and a 5-year-old, and it's set in the 80s. So I said, please, please let me cut my hair. Because I went to try to cut my hair, literally paid the guy. And I was like, I want it up to here. I want to get it out of my armpits because my hair gets stuck in my armpits all the time.
Hmm.
But he said, no, we're gonna keep the length. And I'm just I went to somebody new to actually take it off, but he didn't. So
Oh,
I want for this part for Caroline, I wanna, 80s, I want to perm it.
I was
I
going to
want,
ask if you want full Pat Benatar, maybe.
dude, I have these hot rollers and like it makes it really like I get a nice fluff going
Nice.
on. But I talked to Hope, she's hair makeup for the movie, and she said she wants to do it a little easier on me. And I was like, no, I will sleep in hot rollers for this. So I don't know if we could get some sort of a vote going on by next week. No, probably not. But wouldn't
Nice,
that be
nice.
awesome? A
yeah.
perm.
That that's
Well,
the
I mean, and you've got the kind of face that's going to carry off any kind of
Oh,
hairstyle. So, but let me ask you this: is there a specific role, or perhaps a type of role, that you haven't played yet that you are dying to play?
hmm. It's funny because, excuse me, the last time people were saying this question, it was a mom because nobody's ever really let me play a mom before. I mean, a good one. One of my original, The Lackey, what was that? 2009. Um, I was a young, drugged up mom, a no good kind of. Ah, but then let's see. Yeah. So that one is kind of coming true for me. And I also wanted to do, which is funny because I was asking Jim to do like a kid movie because I want to do more kid movies. Um, but I also wanted to do something classic so that I could be pretty big, something retro. Um, so, he's doing Catwoman of the Moon,
Ah,
and
great.
he wanted me to be a Catwoman, but I don't know if you guys have seen the movie
Oh yeah,
1953.
Honey
It's
Tufts.
kind of hard to get through, but I wasn't, in a place where I am now, where I can talk to my director friends and tell them what I want instead of having to be silent. Um, I was able to talk him into giving me the astronaut role. So he's making two female astronauts. So I wanted to do something retro and something smart.
Great.
nice.
So
Uh,
yay,
you
amen.
you're gonna pull that off like really
I have
well.
no
It's
doubt.
Especially since you say you know a lot about science and math, maybe you'll make the science and math actually real, because we talk about this all the time on our show, but like a lot of the B movies that
Oh yeah,
we do, we used to have Paul used to have a the girl who's got the the dog on Christmas
Lenore. She was a
Lenore.
NASA intern.
She was a NASA
Cool.
intern, and we would have her on our show, and when we would review like these B movie science movies or whatever, she would be the one telling us, no, 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 that
I
didn't
would
happen, and
specifically pick these awful 50s B movies that had poor science just so that we could get under her skin so that she could say, "No, that's not what happens." And then she'd get to explain what's really going on the show, and I think she really enjoyed doing that. It was fun.
yeah, and so
That's
like you
awesome.
could be that person right there, be like, no, 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 that's not the science of it, or whatever. That wouldn't make any sense, and I
I
think
would
that
love
would be
that.
great,
Hmm.
you know.
And again, for me, it is a lot about the look. So I look forward to doing something retro, you know.
Well, and I love that you still work with Jim because Jim is one of those guys who, he's always working.
Right.
I like, and like, I hate to say, like, he's up there where normal people would retire, and he's out there just busting his ass, still making these like movies in like 3 to 5 days. Like, I can't imagine going. I could never do that. I could never. Well, I can't say never, but 'cause I haven't ever done it, but I don't know if I could just go out there and shoot something for 3 days and have it like finished and ready and it be like over an hour and 10 minutes at least, like that's
And it's
incredible.
all in his head. It's
Uh,
amazing.
it's crazy.
I
Um,
definitely look up to him in the sense that he can just go. Nothing gets in his way. If there's any doubt, he, can positive talk his way over it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Is
It's so amazing.
is it usually without really much of a script and more of an idea about what scenes are going to be, or
No, no, it's usually with a script.
usually with a script?
Sometimes he writes it, sometimes somebody else writes it. But he's a really good writer. And even if somebody else writes it, he knows all the words. He really gets into it. But it's only the Bigfoot ones that and it's just the Bigfoot or bust ones that didn't have a script.
Mm.
I think that was it.
Well,
Murderbot had a script.
Cobra Gator, did that have a script?
Overgate had a script.
Where is that? Where can we find that? I haven't been able to locate it yet.
Well, August 23rd, we're gonna go to Shelbyville, Indiana. I will be there. Jim will be there. They're putting us up in a hotel. They're flying us out, giving us meals and stuff. I'm super excited. My parents will
Mm.
be there. A lot of my friends will
Nice.
be there. So yeah, Shelbyville, Indiana. Is that close to you
Nice.
guys?
Not
We're
not
off in
particularly.
Virginia.
We're in Virginia, so we're a little further, but
That's okay.
that's
We are
great.
kind of going there for a convention, though, aren't we? Or
We're
Kentucky or
going to
something?
Ohio. Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah.
Mm.
One of those Midwestern places.
Yeah, we're
What
we're
date are
going
you going to Ohio?
Strongsville.
Or what date are you
What?
going?
Oh, October like 3rd, I think.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, there's a thing called Cinema Wasteland. It's
Oh,
a horror convention out there. So we're really excited because we get to see the guy like it's a reunion for like Hobgoblins, which is
cool.
something we've done a review of and just insane movie, So we're
Awesome.
excited for that, but like, we would love to go see the premiere
Uh,
the premiere of Cobra Gator, but it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so many things we love to do. We just can't do them all, unfortunately.
well,
You know.
Jim has 40% of Cobra Gator, and Roger had 60, and he just passed. Um, so I guess it's up to his wife, and maybe they'll be in, um, you know, t- well, maybe they'll be talking soon. I don't
Oh,
know exactly. It might need a name change. I don't know.
okay. Well, I mean, Cobra Gator's a cool name, but
It
Yeah.
is a cool name.
you
But if you
know,
think of a new one, let us know.
okay. If there needs to be something else, we'll definitely help you guys out with that. But I want to say thank you so much. Like you've been amazing,
Oh,
here, and we really
you guys are amazing.
yeah, and we know you got a kid, so we don't want to keep you like for were super duper long, so we were
It was
just,
about bath time.
oh, right.
Yeah.
But so you said you got a couple projects. Do you have any actually coming out soon?
Yeah, 7 Days to Hell is actually premiering in Louisville the this weekend, um, the 22nd. And then it's coming to LA the 17th of next month. So that'll be coming out soon, yeah. And uh, yeah, besides the three movies on the horizon, that's it. So
Nice.
Cobra Gator, uh, short premiere, and then we'll see. And then 7 Days to Hell is coming out. So yay.
Yay. I'm
Outstanding.
excited for you.
Thank you.
Um, where can people like reach you if they'd like to contact you?
I am only on Facebook and it is me. Everybody thinks it's not me, but that's where you guys found me.
Yeah, we found you, so it is you.
Yeah.
Let's say that. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
he did. I haven't friended
Hmm.
you yet.
Aw.
Well, I
Yeah,
always feel weird
if you
about it
friend
because
me,
I always feel like, especially someone like yourselves, probably like, oh, some weird guy is stalking me or something. And
no, I will answer you. It's just send me a message. Send me a message and, keep it short. If you got a question, fine, ask your question. But don't just say hi.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people do, and then they
I
give
know.
nobody responds to that,
I know.
because
No,
it's
but
you know.
I
oh, I
love,
usually throw in a weird cow joke, and that's probably why most people don't answer back with me.
no, cow jokes are great.
Oh, well, see, you're the exception in many ways.
Aw.
So thank you so much. I mean, we can't wait to see everything that you're doing. You're doing so much,
Absolutely.
and you're going to continue to do so much. It seems like, 'cause it seems like you just fell in love with acting and you, like on camera, and you just want to keep doing this. So it's great.
Hmm. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Absolutely. Hope someday you'll get to come out to Virginia. We'd love to see you work. We'd love to work with you. It'd be a dream come true.
I'm down.
We'll make it happen. And everybody else, check out Lauren's work. A lot of it is on Tubi.
Yeah.
So, you can check out the films that she's been in, and I just saw a short that you were in that was on IMDb. It's very, I think you had a very small role in it, but it was the I guess the guy was a karaoke holic or whatever, and and
That was
everything.
my very first movie, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. In Louisville.
Yeah, it was funny. I liked it. I thought it was really cute. We may do that. We may do that for. We do a thing called Short Film Saturdays that we review short films and stuff. So we might do that then sometime because
Yeah.
it's really
We
cute.
are movie nerdlings.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love you guys.
All
What would I
right.
do without you?
Yay.
Exactly. Well,
Thank you so much.
you definitely got us as a fan for life. So everybody check her out, and I'll send links to where you can check out her IMDb and everything.
Thank
And
you very, very much for coming on our show, Lauren. We really appreciate it.
yes.
Thank you guys. We'll
Class in
talk
the
soon,
place.
okay?
All right. Have a good one.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Mwah.
Bye.